Now, outrage over the cold-blooded killer awarded compensation after being assaulted in jail. Collin Earl Graham is now out and free to spend that money, but he also wants to get Centrelink payments, claiming he's too injured to work. Well, he looked all right when we caught up with him.
We just want to know what you're going to do with the money.
Come here. He's street smart, Collin Graham.
Colin, we just want to have a chat with you about it.
Come here. He's as cunning as a house rat, to put it mildly.
Don't you think that money should go to the victim's family?
Come here.
Meet Collin Earl Graham, 62 years old, newly married and a convicted killer.
Colin, we just wanted to chat with you about it.
The homicide squad is investigating the suspicious death of a woman at Wheelers Hill early today.
He was the obsessed older man who stabbed his young love interest to death when her interest in him waned.
You didn't expect to be videoed, did you?
Collin Graham murdered aspiring model Hilary Stevens in cold blood on her front doorstep in Melbourne's eastern suburbs. It was October 1999 and he'd just taken the vivacious 21-year-old out to dinner.
They told us that she'd been brutally murdered. And that was just the most dreadful thing.
But a few years after finishing his jail sentence for that murder, this savage killer has himself a new Korean bride and one big prison payout. You see, Collin was a prison snitch and assaulted by another prisoner during his 13-year term. He claims his injuries from that assault are so bad he can't work now he's free. Here he is taking us on a run up a flight of stairs.
Don't you think that money should go to the victim's family?
Come here.
Shouldn't that money go to Hilary's family, Colin?
The payout is for an undisclosed amount, believed though to be more than $10,000. As soon as we approached Collin Graham about that money, he ran.
Just want to ask you about the compensation payment you've been given.
Right, come here.
Mate, we just want to know what you're going to do with the money.
Come here.
And we pray and we thank you that she now sleeps and rests in the arms of Jesus.
Hilary Stevens' family is entitled to try and claim that money as victims of his crime, but there could be another family entitled too. Collin Graham, who lives now in a tiny apartment east of Melbourne, is implicated in another murder. In fact, he's been identified by police as a suspect in the stabbing death of another of his former young love interests. Police believe he might have information that could help them solve the case. 25-year-old Ina Doris Warwick was a champion gymnast.
Well, it's gut-wrenching. There's so much similarity to it, and I can't really say too much more about that because it does make me upset. I'm getting quite angry about it within myself, but with no evidence, I can't say anything.
Wolfgang Sattlecker is Ina Doris's grieving brother.
I got a phone call in the middle of the night from my father, and he just said it really bluntly. He said, Ina Doris is dead, and I thought I was having a dream or a nightmare.
Former homicide detective Frank DeMasi.
She had no opportunity at all, once she stepped inside, to have even gone to the bathroom. And the last person to see her alive was Collin Earl Graham. From my understanding of the investigation of Hilary Stevens, it was virtually a carbon copy of the way she died with how Ina Doris met her death.
Ina Doris Warwick and Collin Graham worked together at Box Hill Hospital in Melbourne's east. She was the triple certificate nurse. Collin Graham was an orderly. On the night Ina Doris was murdered, she'd been to dinner with Collin and was only home 5 minutes when she was stabbed to death.
The last person to see her alive was Collin Graham, and that's where it rests. I think he's got the clue as to who killed her.
In the more than 30 years since Ina Doris Warwick was murdered inside her home here in Melbourne's east, the murder case has gone very cold. But just a few months ago, a breakthrough. A person called police claiming that a known suspect in this murder case had confessed to the murder. Police now desperate for that person to call them back. There's a twist to this though. There's another man who police believe has information that could help them solve this crime. Ina Doris had a lover, and he was the one who found her body and initially lied about it to police.
I don't make any excuses for him. He should have came forward at the first opportunity, but he failed to. But why he didn't make that discovery known to police straight away, it probably relates back to the fact that he was married.
It was Collin Graham who is the last known person to see Ina Doris alive. Her body was found in the same clothes she'd worn out to dinner with him. The prison injury payout he's just been granted has been quarantined for 12 months, meaning victims associated with the murder Graham was jailed for can apply for a slice of that money.
That money, rightly, should go to the victims who are related to or knew or were friends with Hilary Stevens and who have suffered since that time and will do for the rest of their lives.
Victims of Crime Commissioner Greg Davies.
Clearly, the people who deserve it most are his victims, and they're the ones who should access it.
But Wolfgang Centrelink isn't entitled. No one, including Collin Graham, has ever been charged in relation to his sister's murder, and the identity of her killer remains a mystery. Wolfgang's plea to have this case solved actually has nothing to do with that money. He's been grieving for 31 years, and he needs answers.
Not knowing what happened, not knowing what Ina Doris went through in those last few moments before she died.
Collin, we just wanted to chat with you about it. What about the family of Ina Warwick? What have you got to say about that murder? Collin, we want to talk to you.
There's currently $1 million reward on offer for the person who can help bring Ina Doris Warwick's killer to justice. After the break, on a current